Hi, my name is Karthik. My son goes to 21K school. He's in grade 5. And I am here sitting together with four other parents, 5 of us, discussing each other's journey as parents and the journey of our kids through the educational system here at 21K school. So this is in conversation with 21K school parents. Let's get started with this conversation. I have Kamal on my right. Kamal, tell us a little bit about yourself, your kid.
Sure, Karthik. Yeah, my name is Kamal Raj Gupta, and my daughter is in her 9th standard in 21K school. She's doing her NIOS. And she's been joined 21K school only this year, which means only 5-6 months of experience. And I've been in Bangalore for the last 22 years. Me and my wife, we have 3 kids. That's a short intro, Karthik.
Yeah. That we got a lot to talk. Let's move on to Nupur.
Hi, I am Nupur Yashwant Raj, and my child is in grade 3, and we've been with 21K school since last 5 years. This is our 5th year. So yeah, it's been a long journey.
You bet. Let's
I
go
am
on to
Archana Mangar, and myself and my husband both are into business. And my son, he joined 21K in class 9 because main reason was his cricket, and second thing was our moving. This is our 10th state we are moving to.
And how about you, Selvi?
Hi, my name is Selvi, and I'm a Bangalorean basically, and I have 2 kids. We travel a lot, and my kids, Karthikeyan is in 6th grade, and daughter Nitila, she's in grade 5, and it has been 2 years since we have joined 21K.
It's really interesting, right? We have a real mix of kids from different grades and I guess different reasons as well, which I'm really curious to understand as well. I'm curious. I think we all as parents come from a certain background. Some of us have all of us have experienced education as kids when we were young, and we come with that baggage as we start looking at options for our kids. And I'm curious what your answers are in terms of why did you even think about rethink about traditional education? And while I let you think about it, let me start with my perspective and why I I started on this journey with not necessarily online schooling. Everything started because my son was basically getting into grade 1 right during the pandemic. It was wave 1, things were very bad, and he was in a regular school, and things were not as expected. We were expecting, I was expecting the same schooling experience like I had, and here he was stuck in a room, not going out of the house, and he was basically looking at a monitor, and it was chaos because it was a Zoom call and kids were shouting. Teacher was trying her best to, shout louder or sometimes mute the entire class. It looked more like a circus than a classroom to me personally. And I was thinking, look, and as we all know, everybody was talking about the future is going to be like this. Pandemic is going to change the world. I know the future is looking a lot different from that view, but I think what did happen to me at that point and to us, me and my wife, is we were thinking, okay, what is going to be our goal with education, right? And me and my wife, both, we are in a non-quote-unquote traditional background, meaning I had a considerably long stint in IT and software. I was traveling the world and all of that, nice things. And, some time back, about close to almost 10 years now, I took a break from that and went into a different journey myself. My wife is a makeup artist. And even she was experiencing, a kind of a jolt in terms of what's going to happen to the world. And I was saying, we need to have an alternative education, which is focused more on skills that really matters. And skills that really matters today is life skills, skills that is going to help the kids survive in the world. And I saw a lot of people start all kinds of professions right in the beginning. I remember having those conversations. So one of the biggest reasons for me to move my son into this was predominantly, I was looking for someone rather than an entity or a school who was rethinking this. And frankly, and by no means this is a kind of a shout out or anything to 21K, because this is from my heart. And I looked at Yeshwant. I mean, all my search led to one man, and I was reading about him, and I think I just was impressed by what he has done. And given that it is primary school, nothing's lost. So that's how we put our son into the schooling system. Who wants to go next?
Okay, I'll take the lead. When my son was doing his 7th and 8th, at that time pandemic came. His last of his 7th and whole of the 8th standard, he was online, but online with a bat in his hand. He was not there with the class teacher. Like I could see always talk, talk, talk. So I was not talking to him anything. Okay, you are not doing correct. I didn't say anything. When at the same time we shifted from Hyderabad to Bangalore, and I started looking for his school, and he said, I don't want to go to a regular school. He said this. I said, why? I want to go for homeschooling. So he is not a very good, he's a good conversationist. I won't say he's not. He speaks very less. So my daughter's first reaction was, can I speak in Hindi? ये ऐसे ही कुछ नहीं बोलता, ये स्कूल नहीं जाएगा तो बिल्कुल कुछ नहीं बोलेगा. This was her statement. Please don't put him in homeschooling. So I said, okay, let me speak to him. My husband also spoke to him. He said, I want to play cricket. So that's how 21K came into scene. And we started searching for schools. And 21K, I found it better than other schools because in spite of doing his practices and everything, he has recordings with him. He has submission timelines, flexible timelines, where he can submit his homework and everything. Teachers are available on a call. Like I just have to put a message and they're available. So it worked for me. 9th and 10th, again, it's not an easy call for a parent when a person is doing this board.
Right.
And I'm taking this decision that you play cricket, I will take care of your studies.
Right.
But yes, somehow that intuition, that instinct worked, and he's happy with 21K now.
Wow. Kamal?
Yeah, so in our case, all my 3 kids don't go to a regular school. They are into alternate education. And it accidentally happened, but we have been very happy because we chose this path. What do I mean by alternate education is it's not like regular classes and subjects and exams. So my kids go to a school where it is SDL, self-directed learning, right? And that's how my elder daughter's journey was also, Karthik, all the way up to 8th standard. I can't use the word 8th standard because she didn't really do 8th standard, right? She was following that SDL path. Right. But in that journey, at one point, she took a decision that she wants to pursue 10th. As a parent, I was not very keen that my kids have to do 10th, 12th, college. I was not choosing the regular path. But of course, end of the day, I can't impose my thoughts on my kids. So when she chose that she wants to do 10th, I said, okay, that's cool. But she herself did the research on finding which is a better option. Instead of going to a regular school and committing so many hours every day, she wanted to have that flexibility so that she can pursue her other passions, right? And now she's doing many things, internships and music and a whole lot of things. And 21K School's flexibility kind of helps her to manage all the schedule, right? So that was the reasoning behind why online school and why 21K. Of course, needless to tell, Bangalore traffic. She's very happy that she doesn't have to go through that.
Right.
I mean, she can just get ready in 5 minutes and get into her room, do the classes. And her classes are also spread across the day. It's not like continuous 4 hours. Right. And she has also planned it in such a way so that she gets some gap in between where she can do other things. So that's how 21K came into picture in our case.
Fascinating. Selvi?
Yeah, for me, 21K was a conscious choice due to various reasons, but the main, I would say, would be the flexibility and accessibility. Those were the 2 factors that came into. And my son was not very keen though, because he was like, I'm missing my friends and things like that. But then he took a year at least to get adjusted to this new thing that was happening. But later on, he came with a thing saying that, oh, I get to do a lot of other things that I want. The kids are not tired, basically,
Right.
bogged down with a lot of things. And what I love about 21K was the teachers' approach to the kids. They know their children. And that was very beautiful. And of course, like what you were mentioning about COVID has changed the definition of education today. It is no more in the classroom, learning happens with this. It's not that anymore.
Change of perception is
Yes,
there.
learning can happen anywhere, is what has changed. And for my daughter, it was a boon because of her health conditions. And it's a big boon for parents who are struggling with children who have health concerns or special needs or anything. For such parents, online schooling is a big thing. And 21K, I have done my research and I found that they are more channelized and more organized compared to the other online schools that I've seen. So this has been our second year and we are happy. And my daughter wants to continue online. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Nupur, now I know you can be sometimes very biased. Are you?
No, not at all. When it comes to my son, no. I know what you mean, but no, not at all. Because
Why? Why? Look, I think the reason I'm asking this is, right, I mean, your husband runs a school. He's the founder of the school, right? And it's very easy if
I'm sorry. I was not doing that.
nobody knows.
If
Most
my-
of the
Okay.
lot of people
I mean,
they
like,
don't know.
it all happens to all
okay.
of us. I mean, if our better half is doing something, we always try to extend our support, our best to them. And I'm sure you are, as a wife, you do that a lot. But there is a part of you which is a parent. And I think that's a big part of us sitting here that we are talking about. I'm curious, what has been your thought process about education? Because I know you've been involved much before. I mean, Yeshwant was running other educational endeavors before 21K, and you've been
Both of us, like
Right.
we were co-founders, like before he started 21K school. Yes, we had an education management company. So yes, definitely.
why did you really go that far to consider an alternate education model or a paradigm for your son Hriday?
Well, Karthik, like unlike all of the other parents sitting here, my son Hriday, he has never been to a physical school. So, and this was before COVID. COVID started in 2020, March 2020, and in January 2020, we did, because we are into education, we established educational institutes, and there was this preschool that we had established in Raipur. And so Hriday did go there for 2 days, but he wasn't happy, and he said that I don't want to sit in the courtyard is so beautiful, why am I not allowed to sit there? And he never liked, standing in queue, obviously in the class going, and and he said, I'm not allowed to speak most of the time. 2 days only he went. He was, I think, hardly 3. Yes, he was 2.5, 3. So, and he said, I don't want to go to school. And that touched our heart, like me and Yashwantji. And, we decided that we'll homeschool him. We'll not send Hriday to a conventional, a regular school. And then fortunately 21K happened. And I was, obviously Yashwantji told me that I'm starting this is the concept, and as a life partner and as a colleague also, I was like, we used to discuss a lot of things about this project. But as a parent, I will never, even if he's my husband, I'm a mother first and then a wife, if I don't know if that is all right to say. But just because he's starting this, I wouldn't, let my child and his life, suffer. But I had a lot of faith in Yashwant, and I knew that if he is, starting this, so it's not just for his son, but he has a very big vision when it comes to education. So I was sure of him. But then I did speak to the teachers. I did went through all the concepts that were there for 21K school. And since Hriday has never been to a physical school, we were homeschooling him before that also. So it was it was not a difficult choice, and I'm very happy that I chose that path. And obviously you are not supposed to, if your husband is running a school, it's not, I don't have any obligation that I put my son in his school just because
Right.
it's his school.
Right.
But I'm very pleasantly surprised and happy the way, because it is as unconventional for me, and trust me, Karthik, when like lot of time, like when I used to sit for 3 years, like till I think grade 1, I used to sit with him all the time. And most of the parents, they don't, but I used to sit with him so that I can direct him. And this was very I couldn't have done that if he was going to a conventional school, because I could mentor him personally and share my experiences with him. There are very little things that we learn as we grow, but if we are able to
Right.
impart our experience to our child, I learned on my own. So that made it very beautiful. And the teachers, as Sylvia said, the teachers are amazing. Every year I actually think that this is the best teacher there has had, but they surprise me. And the next year the teacher is even better. And because I have studied in an ICSE school, in a very conventional school where kids were not, we don't have, like, I'm not sure about the others, but when I was in school, we didn't had a voice of ours, like if we had to speak, if a teacher actually ask us, then only you are supposed to answer. But that is not the case with 21K school. You can monitor your child actually, when he's sitting. So I keep an eye on him.
I could not have imagined anything close, even 3 years ago, or not 3 years before my son joined the school, right? I mean, my son was like 5, something like that, right? When you're grade 1. So he was 5, and I could not have even imagined something. I mean, did it ever? I mean, I'm just curious here. You can share your thoughts on this, but then what was your thinking? Like, have you ever thought in the past, like, I'm going to start a school one day, and never will this kind of teaching that I went through, I will let it happen to my kid? Something like that. I'm curious, what we all are rebels inside when it comes to education. Some of us are first bench students, some of us are last bench, some of us are like those who want to make a change. Curious, Kamal,
Yeah, like I said, Karthik, in my case.
Kamal, I need to put this in perspective, right? I was speaking to you before. I know you're a topper, Bits Pilani, he has all the badges that one would want. And you deciding not to put your 3 kids into regular schools, I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I mean, all of us, even though I was topper and Bits Pilani and whatnot, all of us know how much education has contributed to our professional life. If we are in professions, if it is business, then it's a different case. I understand that. But I realized that even though I did IT for my college, what I learned in college versus what I applied in my job was totally different, right? So that's right then I had a thought process that education will only help with discipline and other things, but not really what we learn. And of course, with today's internet age, Karthik, with YouTube and all, learning has become easy, right? So I didn't, just for learning sake, I didn't want to put my kids into regular school. I was more focused on the other aspects, because that is real life learning, right? What is important is not the academic learning, right? The real life learning, being able to handle failures, being able to face the real world, becoming street smart. This is what will help us. That is what helped me in my career. I'm sure that's the case for all of us, right? So academics has its place for sure, but that's not the only thing to focus. So this was my thought process, and that's why like I said, my first daughter, when she went to a similar school, it happened accidentally. But after that, we didn't want to take the other path because we saw that this is awesome, right? So that's how it is. Another thing, just on the professional front, what I realized is, like, a lot of companies these days support giving jobs even without professional degrees.
Right.
This made a huge change in my thought. Like companies like Google and Amazon, they are ready to take kids if you are able to prove the skills. So what matters is not the degree certificate, but the skills. I thought the world would change even more faster. It has not happened. Even today, degree certificate has its value, But I wish the world changes even more faster, where degree certificate is not required, but the skills alone is enough.
And I think that we even don't know what we are preparing our child for, because if you look back, like when I was in school, I never knew that all these professions that have been have emerged lately, they did not even exist. Some of the most, like you talk about social media, you talk about event management, for that, image makeovers and these image management, these are like few professions that have emerged lately, and they are doing so well. So you even I don't know what I am preparing my child for, what kind of world it would be. Nahi, like Archana, what do you think?
Correct. My two kids, as I told the other one who is studying in 21K, he is doing cricket. He lives cricket. He breathes cricket.
Oh my God, really?
Nice.
He is one, and but he knows one thing for sure. If not cricket, something around the periphery of cricket, he will make it. Something around the sports, he will make it, and maybe in form of sports nutrition, maybe in form of sports psychology, maybe in form of sports analysis, but
Right.
something related to sports. So
Right.
that thing I was not getting in regular system. It's not that they don't encourage sports, but they encourage sports on their condition.
Oh, that's a very good point, actually. Yes.
You be in this sport because you are playing this. He is not choosing, they are choosing. They are choosing their extracurriculars. It is with most of the school, I think everyone will agree to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are extracurricular activities, but you are good in drawing, go to drawing class only. Why drawing class every time? You can choose music sometime. And that's where responsibility part comes. If I am choosing wrong, then I will decide I'm wrong, so I'm responsible for this. If I am doing right, okay, I should be awarded. I should award myself. Yes, I've done something right. So both the sense of right and wrong cannot be taught. It can be experienced. So let the child experience himself or herself.
That's really well put. And I want to actually, I have a comment to make about it, but I'm curious here, right? Of the five of us here, the only person who I probably wanted to be when I was especially out of my 12th grade was to be a teacher, to be out there teaching. And I think you have successfully done it. I'll probably steal some tips from you later. But I think I'm curious, what your perspective, your thought process, like, did you ever imagine something like this happening?
No, I've not. Honestly speaking, I started off as a psychologist in profession. And when I started working in schools, I started very early in my career, I started observing gaps in the education. A child would rather come to a counseling room than go to a classroom. That's how it was. Then I slowly started making observations and notes of mine. And by God's grace, I had the opportunity to travel a lot. And everywhere I saw the common thread. And that's when I ventured into curriculum development. And that's where I realized what a child needs. Sometimes education has become like a standard format. This is what everybody has to learn. This is what has to be done. But then there is such a beauty in children that they themselves come up with ideas to tell you things. Oh, why can't, for example, when I remember I was teaching matter, and I was thinking how I should put this across to a kid, and I just gave an example of connecting physics with cooking, something they can easily see and relate. And I remember that the children could understand the application of the aspect, because we are not developing skills in schools. We are only teaching them the concepts. You're talking about all the concepts, but you're not teaching the skill. So online school, what I found is that there is an opportunity for skill development. And we have to remember one thing is we are raising global citizens, It's no more a particular country. And online school does that. It gives you that global connectivity. Oh, one child is from China, she's in classroom, and the kids are like, oh, how did you do that? Children are talking about the time differences. Oh, can you show me outside how it looks? It develops curiosity in the classroom, which is not happening in traditional classrooms. Like what ma'am was saying, it's all channelized. This is how it should be. That's how I think all of us have grown up. And I think we all are late bloomers. We realized a lot of things when we were working. Oh, acha, there's something like this. I didn't know that. And even the career paths. My father would have never allowed me to go into anything, you know. But now, as parents, we have that opportunity to give it to our children to venture into what they love. I've heard a lot of, quotes and all people saying, follow your passion, but they were just in words. I was never allowed to follow my passion, you know. If I would say anything, I would have just shut down and said no.
But I'm sure as a parent,
No, I don't do that.
You don't do that, and you can't do that also, because the children.
No, with my elder one, I can. My elder one is the typical this one. My younger one is a rebel. But my elder one, like I said, see, for him, 21K was not easy. You know, my son, he can make friends easily. He can talk to anybody, anything. He's that kind. And he'll invite you home also.
Oh wow!
We had to tell him, no, you cannot invite people like that. You shouldn't do that. You know, he's like that. So for him, that school was very important, you know. But for my daughter, it was not. But the point is that today they are more aware. Of course, like what Sir said, internet learning is there. They can go explore anything. So, but in education, I think we need to change the perspective, saying that give it a 360 degree. Give our children that opportunity and choice. And like I said, just because I'm in curriculum development, I'm not saying this. I have found that every country should have its own curriculum. Not copy the US, not copy the UK. You need to look at what works in your country, you know, and what works for our children, because we are bound by backgrounds, cultures, and we come from.
We are in different ecosystems.
Exactly. So we should do that rather than copying other countries and saying Montessori. I'm not against any thing.
Right.
But does it work in our country? Does it work in our children? Does it do? So we need to come up with our own thing. You need to develop in your own ecosystem, you know. That's what I have found. Hopefully my research works, which I'm doing now.
Definitely work. Definitely
And
work.
I'm doing my doctorate with the University of Paris. So let me see. If it works, then nothing like it.
Selvi, I think you made really good points, and I'm super interested in getting your perspective. Let's start with you, perhaps, because you talked about education being very specific to the country you're in. And I think one of my biggest, progress in my son that I've seen is how he has kind of progressed through building on his own skills. I think that personalized angle, I'm curious. You are an educator yourself and a parent. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on making it specific to countries? Yes, but then making it specific to kids. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, since I'm doing my research on it, when you're talking about a curriculum, you know, the curriculum should be based on the country because the application aspects are more easier to understand. What is my socio-economic development of a country? Most of the countries strive for that. I remember attending one of the conferences here in Bangalore, and I forgot his name though. He was the Deloitte's CEO. He asked educational institutions that, what kind of graduates are you all producing? You send us, I hire a graduate and I need to train him again. You know, and he said training and development has become a huge department in every company. Then what are you educational institutions doing? That was a triggering statement for me. So when I sit back, and since I said I work in Costa Rica, it is a very eco-friendly country, but I'm seeing the children are not able to understand certain things when you're talking because they're not able to relate to it. Then when I started talking about, for example, I'm just going to quote it, but though it is from a different country, I taught them about microbiomes in a class. You're talking about bacteria, this, and you're showing them colorful images. They were not able to relate to it.
Right.
All I did was I did dosa batter at home, you know, and I took it there and I said, first we took an image of the dosa batter. I said, I'm going to leave it tonight. Okay, we'll come back tomorrow to see what happened. Then we came back and we saw that it had, fermentation had happened, and I showed them how the fermentation process, the air bubbles and all are there. And we made a dosa in the class, We had it, and I said, what bacteria do you think this was? And we saw it under a microscope. How does it look? And I asked them to draw whatever they saw on the microscope. They could understand. But again, dosa is an Indian thing. So how do I relate it to them? So what I did was, we did something called as scobies you have for having these teas that you get. So I asked them to make it, and we did it. I gave everybody a tiny piece of the SCOBY because SCOBY develops. So we put it in a tiny jar and I gave it to them. And I told them, keep it for 1 week and come back to tell me what it is. And they had an observation sheet they had to do. Oh yeah, my mom drinks this tea, but they don't know what that tea is. So that's how that learning happened. And they could relate to it so beautifully. Then we went to the laboratories to see why we are studying this and what profession comes with it. When you start adding career paths to your learning, the children get more clarity.
Such an interesting point, right? I mean, when you add career paths to your curiosity, connect your curiosity to a career. And I see a pattern kind of, we talk about, Archana, you talked about, your son, the reason that you're pushing your son or let him follow his path is not because he's going to play cricket, but there are opportunities around cricket. So he explores the curiosity through a perspective, so he is able to, I think there is, even you talked about it, right? That companies don't hire based on degrees. And I think I fully second that, because I've hired people myself in the last many years who are not graduates, in fact kids, literally teenage kids. So I'm curious here, one of the biggest thing that happens to me, at least, when I go visiting, in fact, for about 6 or 7 months after putting him into 21K, it was pandemic and I did not even talk to people about this much. Thankfully, it was, visiting homes was not a thing. But then once we started to do it, people, even today they ask me this, how does he socialize? Does he spend all the time with computer? I'm curious what your things have been, but the way I kind of have always answered
Sorry to
this.
interrupt. Sometimes people, they ask, okay, nowadays they are taking online.
Yeah.
Where is the school? They ask, where is the school?
That's a very interesting question that comes from my parents' generation.
Yes.
They kind of they tend to look down at us and thinking these kids have not grown up still. Yes. Even are you playing with your son's life, sort of? And my not rebuttal, but then my response to that is always, look, I tell them only one thing. Look outside there. People who are working or thriving or doing big stuff, just recently there was this boxing match, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, right? Every kid that guy Jake Paul is a YouTuber. Right? Mike Tyson is a sportsman. They don't have degrees. And we're talking about Google. And for a fact, I know people in Google who don't have a degree. I used to work in IBM back in the day. And those days, IBM used to hire only, BTech from, Premier Institute and things like that. Today, I have people working in IBM now who I talk to who say they don't even want you to have a degree in some cases. But they've come down to, non-professional degrees, as they call it. I really struggle to understand what is professional, non-professional today, given the Jake Paul example and Mr. Beast and things happening, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
have you been in situations like this where people look down, kind of?
Yeah, see, in my case, since my kids have been in this path all throughout, a lot of questions have obviously come, like, why are you not choosing a regular school and all that? Right, talking specifically about 21K, Karthik, I think, like you rightly said, the need for socializing, are they always sitting in computer? I guess that is getting taken care in two ways. At least this is what has been my experience, what I'm seeing for my daughter for the last 5-6 months. One, the flexibility, the subjects that she has chosen, she has consciously chosen, and so that she has enough time. Right. Now, the rest of the time she's using for socializing and other things. That is one. Number two, what I really like is also on 21K is that be it the sports day that is going to happen tomorrow, or a lot of sessions that is happening recently, the interaction with Ronnie, or the other day there was a psychiatrist who was there. So I see a lot of these additional sessions which are there, which are good. And then I also saw my daughter was involved with 2 other kids in doing a project. And then so the conversation was not just in the during the class, they had conversation even later and they were working together. I really like that, right? So I do see opportunities to socialize with 21K kids through these other opportunities. Outside 21K kids, of course, you have to be slightly be mindful, but there is enough time and flexibility to do that. That's been my experience in terms of socializing and creating.
But one could, playing the devil's advocate here, one could always, put up opposing thought there saying that, well, people can do it anyways. I mean, you can always go to YouTube and look, you can always go to the ground and play a sport. Yeah. Why go to put your kid to an online school? I mean, have any of you kind of experienced yourself in a situation where you've been pushed so hard into a corner that you have to, make a point?
Yeah, of course, and especially family, because family, they
Right.
also, as you said, Karthik, a lot of like family members also judge you. They think that what are you doing with your child? Why aren't you sending him to a regular school? But I think what they don't understand is that the world is changing very fast. And as Selvi said, that it's not just about being in Bangalore or sitting in a class. We all are now global citizen. We all can, I remember, I think 2 years back, 21K, they had organized this virtual tour, or to Paris or something, where, there was this person who took kids around the, streets of Paris, and it was wonderful. And basically what I think is that socializing in a setup of a 30 or 40 student, you meet them daily, you are limited to socialize, with those, set of students. But here, my child, he not only socialized with their, peers, like as Kamal said, that definitely even they get so many, group projects, so they interact during the class and also after the class. They have their own WhatsApp groups, and which is, like kids of his age, they don't know about Canva. But my son Hriday, he's so pro at Canva, like he makes presentations on Canva, invites on Canva. So definitely he is more digitally advanced also, along with the conventional education that every child is getting. Socializing, I don't see that, because I think more than school, when I speak to a lot of parents, like as an educator also, who have concerned about their kids not being social, so that school, I don't think school contributes a lot to that aspect. It's more about the parents also, and what time. And I was like, being a child, I was like not very, I was very shy in school. Teacher used to say that she hardly speaks in class. But outside the school, I was very, I was very vibrant, and I used to talk a lot. So I had total different two personas, because I was not allowed to speak in the school. So I did not socialize at all in my school, but outside I was like in family and friends I was. So I don't think, but as you said, definitely people judge you. And for me, this may sound very weird. What I do, like every year, once his school is once his assessments are over, I have a lot of friends who have kids in grade as Hriday is. So I call their question papers and I make Hriday do their question papers just to see a self-assurance, a parent.
I definitely can relate to that, because I've done this too, Vivan. Like every 2 years he gives an entrance exam in his old school, just to tell the people in the world, like, look, he cleared. He has an admission, and there are people who I mean, the ultimate test for a car is when it's put on the road.
Absolutely.
And I just try to put him on the road every now and then to see if this car runs.
Yeah, I do that. And Hriday would take that, those questions and some of the best schools of India, and
right.
he would just solve those question paper, be it mathematics or English, and he would say, "What is this, Ma? This is so easy." I mean, So that is like kind of very like, it's a self assurance. I don't know if I should be doing it, but I do
Yeah.
that. And few of my friends, 5 of them, they know that, you know, assessments, when assessments are coming, they need to keep the question papers aside for me to for send it to me. But definitely as a parent, I'm sure every parent, you know, we don't have, as we were talking earlier, there's no manual, you know, given to us what to do and what not to do. We think if we are doing right for our child or not, but thankfully every now and then, like Hriday proves it that okay, you know, we are doing right for him.
Archana and Selvi, right? I mean, have you been in this situation?
See, exactly not directly, but yes, sometimes it is questioned how a child's life skill will be developed, how a child's values will be developed. We are in a very paradox condition. Till the child gets the age of 6 years or 7 years, we are after him. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, Ka, Kha, Ga, da, da, da. Huh? We hardly focus on values. And when the child reaches to 9th and 10th, he does not obey parents, he does not listen to us, he does not pay respect to grandparents. Timings are wrong. Till 6 years, you teach them values. After that, automatically he will learn numerics, alphabets, he will learn. No doubt he will not write. That your child is going to write. Your child is going to read. But at the time of values, you are feeding this. And at the time of education, you are feeding values.
So beautiful, Archana.
So this is exchange.
Yeah, no. I think
So we cannot put everything on school that they are not teaching values.
how
It
do you,
is
how do you,
parents.
how do you reflect on this as a
No, I
teacher
agree
yourself?
with you. See, online, for me, online school is just like a regular school. You know, as a parent, I monitor them. Every evening, every day evening, we have a time set where I sit with my kids. I don't check their books. I just ask them what they learned today, what is their value addition to it. And after that is something that we do, like what she was talking about, values, which no schools teach you that. No school, because they don't have time for all that. I remember growing up, I had a class called moral science.
Oh yes,
Oh,
even
yes.
yes.
Oh, how did I
yeah,
forget that?
yeah,
Yes.
we all had.
We don't have that now. They don't understand the values. So I have started this with my kids. It's a conscious effort that we do. We start with gratitude.
Yes.
Every day they have to tell me 5 things they are thankful for. What they have, not what they want. Because that's where we forget. We always say what we want. I say, no, what you have. So from yesterday, my son has started to thank his teachers. It was not happening so far. But again, I have to say this also. See, there is another path to the path we have chosen. Is we're talking about social learning, social emotional learning. See, my son, he struggles because for him, online is not his path. But due to our situation, he's on that path. So as a parent, it's very important to understand what is your child's need. But for my daughter, it is a boon. I can see the difference in both of them. Even yesterday, we were having a conversation where my son said, I love online school, but I still want to go back. But my daughter says the opposite of it. She says, I love the school, I want to continue online. So as a parent, it's very important to strike that balance. You know, social emotional learning will happen only as a parent if I give them that opportunity. My child is not going to go out and play. So we have made up a rule, every month we travel. I take them to a farm, I take them to a agriculture place. I take them to different aspects because they're seeing different things and they socialize.
It's a brilliant point that you bring up, and I think I've experienced this too with our son. We kind of take him around. He experiences plays. That's one of the biggest boons of 21K, right? I mean, most of the classes he's taken in the car backseat. Thanks to our wireless and everything. I think this conversation can go on forever. Because I personally am curious. I'm a curious character generally, but I think so much of insights I can probably derive from you. But then we got everything good has to come to an end, as they say, right? I mean, like, I would love to kind of go do a round robin perhaps and say, what's that one piece of, I think we are not in any position to advise people. Every grown-up is grown-up and we all hate advice. But I think if you can summarize your experience in a way that someone's watching this probably, let's be very clear, online schooling or a different way of education is probably not for everybody. But it's for some people and people like us here. So Selvi, we'll start with you. How would you kind of summarize, put everything in a nutshell and say what your experience has been with this kind of education? And if there is any word of advice, feel free to do it. Yeah.
I don't have a word of advice though, but I have something positive to say is it has been very helpful for me due to the flexibility and accessibility I said. I don't have to worry today my child is not going to school. What he has to do, how much work he has to do. I don't have to worry about that. I can just pick up his laptop, go anywhere. He can take a class anywhere in his grandma's house. And I don't even have that excuse to tell now.
Right.
I can't come.
That's
I
one
have
thing
to
you
go.
love.
Just carry the laptop and go. And even my children don't feel trapped. They don't feel confined into something. That flexibility is there. So for me, online schooling is doing that. The flexibility and accessibility is what is my key from this.
Wonderful. Archana?
In my case, I have experienced both. With the elder kid, I have experienced the traditional school. Younger one, I am experiencing this online school. But both are happy in their spaces. They are finding their happiness there. So that is what a parent wants.
Right.
If she is happy with that, let her be happy there. And my son is happy here, let him be happy there. So happiness is the key word for me. This is one thing we strive for in our life.
Wonderful. Well said. Nupur.
Well, for me, 21K school, as Sylvia said, it has been a boon because we already had decided that we'll homeschool our child. And my son has a lot of different interests, like he's a published author, so he likes reading books, he likes traveling, and 21K gives us all of that, along with the education, definitely, So definitely, I think the only thing that I would say is that few parents, as you said, that it's not for every parent, but for few parents, I think this is definitely a little bit of additional responsibility, because when a child is going to a school, you can very well, obviously here also it's a school only, definitely, but I think that might be a reason. So, but what I have felt is that I am able to spend, as Archana said, that since he has never been to a physical school, the 6 years of his life, I have given my full time 100% to him, and I'm very proud of it, and giving him values and not teaching him ABC, because I knew that I'm going to teach him, so maybe not today, tomorrow, sooner or later he is going to learn, he's going to learn, read and write. So I wasn't in hurry, and I'm so glad that it happened. 21K is there to support my journey as a parent.
Beautiful. Kamal.
Yeah, Karthik. I mean, I think most of us are talking specifically about flexibility, and that has been the case with my daughter also, right? And I see flexibility not just in terms of timing, but be it traveling around and all that. I saw my daughter had in her class, someone was attending from, if I'm right, somewhere in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. Right, and that was making me think, so even if I have to move countries for my professional reasons, I don't have to have a stop in education. It will be a continuous journey, right? I think this flexibility is fantastic. So that has been my biggest positive takeaway in this journey with 21K. Yeah.
No, I really, you each one of you stole one thing that I was, when Selvi started to say what she had to say, I was like, oh my God, she's taken it. And then Archana took one more. I'm now left with, a mind that is probably blank, but actually it's not blank, right? I mean, the idea is when I put my son, and for someone who's even thinking about this, I certainly believe this is not for everyone. Like education itself, the regular school, like how we have a British syllabus or a CBSE or whatever, it's not for everybody. I mean, there certain kids can work in a CBSE model, some in an IB, some in something else. And just like that, this happens to be another facet to education, which is just online. And my experience has only told me one thing. It's a great option if you have a kid like my son, right? I mean, my son, he's not one of those, at least I don't want him to hear this. Because I think we judge our kids too harsh sometimes. And I
agree.
And my current assessment of him, he's the more creative kid. He's not the one who's going to probably do an IIT. Maybe he's going to do it and call me wrong one day, but that's how I look at it. And for him, this is working really well. And I think for all the reasons that each one of you mentioned, right, traveling, and I've done all of what you said. And we've experienced this system to its fullest, and I've seen that proof of the pudding is in eating it. And I've seen my son speak really well, have conversations with people, he plays badminton. He's pretty serious about it. So he's physically fit. He is, yes, he just stare at the laptop for 3 hours a day, but then we all look at devices every day. I know kids, my friends' kids who are addicted to the iPads and iPhones to play games. My son doesn't play games. He's not interested in games. I mean, he's interested. He is interested.
Even I noticed this.
He is interested. I mean, he comes and we got him, my old Nintendo Wii, but he doesn't play with it. The only thing I've seen is there is this whole idea of going out to the real world. They meet kids who are talking about video games. So there is this innate thing that I also want to be like them. And the moment we give them the options, they don't take it. And I'm really happy for it. I mean, I think digital diet is very important at this age. And personally, that's my 2 cents as a parent. I can only speak for myself, not my wife. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Lovely. Well, that's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Kamal, Nopur, Archana, and Selvi. I think it just was a very interesting conversation because I think we all experience questions from outside the world all the time, and we protect our kids from these questions because we don't want them to feel anything else but good and happy, like you mentioned. And with that as a closing remark, I'd like to close this amazing episode. Thank you so much to the 4 of you, and thanks so much for watching.